The hammer has officially dropped. In a move that has sent shockwaves from the WNBA front offices to the heart of Team USA training camp, head coach Kara Lawson has reportedly finalized the first wave of cuts for the 2026 World Cup roster, and 4 major names are officially out. For decades, the USA women's national team has been a tenure-based system. If you had a gold medal, your spot was safe. But 2026 is different. With the Caitlin Clark effect, rewriting the rules of the game, and a new generation of speed and shooting taking over, the old guard is under fire. Coach Lawson, fresh off her appointment through the 2028 LA Olympics, is making it clear: past glory doesn't guarantee a future jersey. We're talking about veteran champions, players with multiple gold medals and Hall of Fame resumes, who were just told their services are no longer required for the Berlin mission. The question on everyone's mind: who didn't make the cut? Is this the moment the league finally moves on from the legends to make room for the Clark and Buchers era? Or has Team USA just made a catastrophic mistake by stripping away the veteran leadership that has kept them undefeated for nearly 30 years? Reports from the closed-door training camp at Duke University suggest the atmosphere was icy as the Final 12 began to take shape. While the world was busy debating MVP ladders and social media stunts, the coaching staff was busy making the most ruthless decisions in the history of the program. Today, we are breaking down the 4 bombshell cuts that no one saw coming, the leaked reactions from the players who were sent home, and why Kara Lawson's new era might be the boldest gamble in the history of American basketball. The dynasty is changing, and some of your favorite stars just got left behind. Let's get into it. On Sunday, January 18th, 2026, the landscape of American basketball shifted. In a move that was as swift as it was brutal, Team USA head coach Kara Lawson confirmed that the initial 18-player training camp roster had been whittled down, and 4 massive names are officially out. This wasn't just a standard roster trim. This was a statement. For the last 3 decades, Team USA has operated on a legacy hierarchy. If you won gold in the past, your locker was essentially reserved for the next cycle. But Kara Lawson, the woman handpicked to lead this program through the 2026 World Cup in Berlin and the 2028 LA Olympics, has just torn up that playbook. She promised intensity and competitiveness as the foundation, and it turns out that foundation doesn't have room for everyone, not even the legends. The Lawson standard. To understand these cuts, you have to understand the woman making them. Kara Lawson isn't just a coach. She's a gold medalist herself, a WNBA champion, and a pioneer who has coached in the NBA and rebuilt Duke into a powerhouse. When she was named head coach in late 2025, she inherited the most dominant dynasty in sports history, a team that hasn't lost an Olympic game since 1992. But Lawson saw a problem. The rest of the world, France, Belgium, Australia, is catching up. The Paris scare in 2024, where Team USA barely escaped with a 1-point victory in the gold medal game, was the final warning. Lawson's response? A total culture shift. There is an expectation of how we need to play, she told the media. With so many first-time players in the national team, the intensity has to be the foundation. That intensity claimed its first victims this week. The 4 players cut were not just fringe athletes. They were names that fans expected to see in Berlin. Reports from the closed-door camp at Duke University suggest that Lawson evaluated players not on what they did in 2020 or 2024, but on who they are right now in 2026. Breaking down the cuts, the bombshell names. While the official press release was carefully worded, the reality on the ground is clear. The 4 players reportedly left out of the next phase are Ariel Atkins, Brianna Jones, Dearica Hamby, Angel Reese. Let's talk about the shock factor here. Angel Reese being cut from the senior national team roster after being included in the December training camp has sent the internet into a literal meltdown. Reese, who has been a walking double-double in the WNBA and a cultural icon for the Chicago Sky, was viewed by many as a lock for the rebounding specialist role. But Lawson's system values offensive efficiency and perimeter mobility above all else. Rumors from camp suggest that while Angel's rebounding was elite, her struggle to finish at the rim against international-length defenders and her lack of a consistent outside shot didn't fit the new era blueprint. Then you have Ariel Atkins and Brianna Jones, the quintessential system, players who have been staples of the gold medal runs. Cutting Atkins, a defensive stopper, and Jones, a powerhouse in the paint, signals that Lawson is moving away from specialists and toward hybrid players who can switch everything on defense and shoot from the logo. The Dearica Hamby heartbreak. The cut that stung the most for many fans was Dearica Hamby. After her heroic bronze medal performance in 3x3 at the Paris Olympics and her resurgence in the WNBA, Hamby was the emotional heart of the camp. But at 32 years old, the coaching staff appears to be looking toward 2028. Lawson is prioritizing height-twitch athletes who can maintain a full-court press for 40 minutes. In Lawson's world, sentimentality doesn't win gold medals, speed does. The Caitlin Clark factor. You cannot talk about these cuts without talking about the player who made them necessary. Caitlin Clark. After the controversy of Clark being left off the 2024 Olympic roster, USA Basketball was under immense pressure to integrate her into the 2026 cycle. But it's not just about her popularity, it's about her gravity. Caitlin Clark's presence on the floor changes the geometry of the game. To maximize her, you need a specific type of roster. You need rim runners who can catch her 50-foot transition passes and dead-eye shooters who can benefit from the double teams she draws. By cutting the more traditional, plodding post players like Brianna Jones and Angel Reese, Lawson is effectively building a Ferrari around Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers. The new hierarchy. With these four players gone, the hierarchy of the team has shifted overnight. The veterans who remain, Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum, and Brittany Griner, are no longer just the stars. They are now the mentors for a youth movement that is unprecedented in USA basketball history. Lawson is betting the house on the next gen. She is betting that the speed and shooting of Paige Bueckers, Juju Watkins, and Rickea Jackson can replace the veteran savvy of the players she just sent home. It is a ruthless gamble. If Team USA goes to Berlin in September and loses for the first time in 30 years, Kara Lawson will be the most criticized coach in American history. But if they win, and win big, she will be the architect of the greatest transition in sports history. The cold training camp. Eyewitness accounts from the Duke training camp describe an environment that was unlike any other USA basketball camp. Usually these camps are a reunion, lots of laughing, photo shoots, and legacy talk. But under Lawson, it was described as clinical. The bombshell wasn't just that players were cut, it was how they were cut. There were no thank you for your service meetings. It was performance-based. If your win shares and defensive rating didn't meet the Lawson standard during the 5-on-5 scrimmages, you were out. This meritocracy has put the entire WNBA on notice. No one is safe. Not the MVPs, not the legends, and certainly not the influencers. Closing part 1. The roster for the 2026 World Cup is starting to take shape, and it looks nothing like the teams of the past. The purge has begun, and the 4 names left off the list are just the beginning of the drama. In the next part, we're going to dive into the secret scrimmage footage that led to these decisions. We'll look at the specific moments where Angel Reese struggled against the Clark-led offense and why Kara Lawson believes the old guard can no longer keep up with the international pace. We'll also look at the furious reactions from the agents and fans of the players who were cut. Is there a conspiracy to favor certain styles of play, or is this just the evolution of the game? To understand why Ariel Atkins, Brianna Jones, Dearica Hamby, and Angel Reese were the 4 names left out, you have to look at what happened behind closed doors during the 3-day minicamp at Duke University. This wasn't a get-to-know-you session. It was a high-intensity evaluation period where every possession was tracked by advanced biometrics and video analysis. Coach Kara Lawson's philosophy for the 2026 World Cup in Berlin is simple: positionless speed. The days of having a traditional center who camps in the paint are over. International teams like France and Belgium have mobile bigs who can shoot the 3, and Lawson is building a roster to counter that. According to reports from inside the camp, the decision-making process centered around one specific drill: the 94-foot transition scramble. In this drill, the offense has 4 seconds to get a shot off, and the defense is required to switch all screens. This is where the gap between the old guard and the next gen became a canyon. The Angel Reese paradox: rebounding versus spacing. The most controversial cut, without a doubt, is Angel Reese. On paper, Angel is a statistical marvel. She broke the WNBA record for consecutive double-doubles and is arguably the best offensive rebounder the game has seen. So, why was she cut from the senior national team pool? Inside sources suggest that in a 5-on-5 setting with Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers running the point, Angel's lack of a consistent perimeter jump shot became a liability. In Lawson's 5-out offense, every player on the floor needs to be a threat from 20 feet. When Angel was on the floor, the defense was able to sag into the paint, effectively cutting off the driving lanes for Clark and Buchers. Furthermore, the international game, FIBA rules, does not have a defensive 3 seconds rule. This means teams can park a 6 feet 7 inches center in the middle of the key. To beat that, you need bigs like Breanna Stewart or Aya Wilson who can pull that defender out to the perimeter. Angel's game, while dominant in the WNBA, currently relies on being in the paint. Lawson reportedly told Reese that the door isn't closed for 2028, but for the 2026 World Cup, the priority is spacing and efficiency. The Atkins and Jones logic, specialization versus versatility. For Ariel Atkins and Brianna Jones, the cuts were a matter of the evolution of the prototype. Ariel Atkins has been the 3 and D anchor for Team USA for years. She is a lockdown defender and a reliable corner shooter. But in the 2026 camp, she was being outcompeted by younger, more explosive two-way wings like Jackie Young and Kalia Copper. Lawson is looking for players who can do more than just defend and shoot. She wants players who can defend 4 positions and create their own shots in the half-court. In the scrimmages, the younger athletes were simply more versatile in transition. As for Brianna Jones, she fell victim to the speed era. Bree Jones is one of the most efficient post scorers in the world. However, in the high-tempo system Lawson is installing, Jones struggled to get back on defense during the scramble drills. When the opponent is playing small ball, a traditional post player like Jones becomes a target in pick-and-roll coverage. Lawson made the tough call. She would rather have a smaller, faster lineup that can blitz the ball than a traditional lineup that can be picked apart by European guards. The Mama D factor, De'Arica Hamby's transition. The most emotional part of the purge was De'Arica Hamby. Known affectionately as Mama D, Hamby was the veteran leader of the younger group. Her bronze medal in 3x3 in Paris was supposed to be her ticket to the 5-on-5 roster. But Team USA managing director Sue Bird and Coach Lawson are reportedly looking toward the 2028 LA Olympics. With Hamby being 32 years old, the staff decided to use her roster spot on a developmental superstar like Juju Watkins or Rickea Jackson. The logic is simple. Give the 20-year-olds the World Cup experience now so they are gold medal ready by the time the Olympics hit American soil in 2028. It was a business decision that ignored Hamby's current production, which is still elite, in favor of future potential. The Clark-Buchers connection. The biggest winner of these cuts? The fans who want to see Caitlin Clark and Paige Buchers share the floor. By clearing out the specialists and the traditional posts, Lawson has created a roster that is perfectly suited for the point guard duo. In the final scrimmage of camp, Clark and Buchers were paired together for a 10-minute stretch. The result was a 22-4 run against the veteran B team. The ball didn't hit the floor. It was all one-touch passes, logo threes, and backdoor cuts. Lawson realized that to let Clark and Buchers cook, she needed 4 other players who could run the floor at a track star pace. The players she cut were the ones who, for one reason or another, were slowing the Ferrari down. The locker room fallout. Don't think these cuts went over quietly. Reports indicate that the atmosphere in the Duke locker room was tense when the news was delivered. Angel Reese reportedly left the facility shortly after her meeting with Lawson, and while she has been professional on social media, her camp is said to be blindsided. Veteran leaders like Aya Wilson and Breanna Stewart have reportedly reached out to the cut players, acknowledging the difficulty of the transition. There is a sense of survivor's guilt among some of the older players who made the cut, knowing that the Lawson standard is a moving target. If they don't perform in the 2026 World Cup qualifiers in San Juan, they could be next. The global warning. These cuts are also a message to the rest of the world. For years, international teams thought they could beat Team USA by outskilling and outshooting them, while the Americans relied on being bigger and stronger. Kara Lawson is ending that era. By cutting the bruisers and keeping the snipers, she is telling France, Belgium, and China, we are going to outskill you, too. The 2026 World Cup roster is being built to play the most beautiful version of basketball we've ever seen. A 40-minute highlight reel of passing and shooting. Closing Part 2, the pressure mounts. With Part 1 and Part 2, we've seen the who and the why. We've explored the shift from traditional power to modern speed. and we've seen how the next-gen stars like Clark and Buchers are effectively picking the roster through their style of play. In the final part of this script, we're going to look at the qualifiers in Puerto Rico, who will fill those 4 empty spots. We'll look at the rising stars, who were promoted from the development pool, and how they are fitting in with the veterans. Finally, we'll ask the billion-dollar question. Has Kara Lawson just guaranteed a 5th consecutive World Cup gold, or has she just dismantled the chemistry of the greatest team in sports? The dust has finally settled in Durham, and the 4 players cut, Ariel Atkins, Brianna Jones, Dearica Hamby, and Angel Reese, have officially departed Duke University. What remains is a 12-woman roster that represents the most radical departure from USA basketball tradition in over 30 years. Head coach Kara Lawson and managing director Sue Bird have pivotally shifted the team from a seniority-first model to a performance and pace engine. As the team prepares to fly to San Juan for the FIBA World Cup qualifiers, the final 12-woman roster is a masterclass in modern basketball geometry. Leading the charge are the veteran pillars, Chelsea Gray, Aya Wilson, Brianna Stewart, and Brittany Griner. Surrounding them is the next-gen shockwave. Caitlin Clark, Paige Buchers, Juju Watkins, Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum, Kalia Copper, Aaliyah Boston, and Cameron Brink. This is no longer just a national team. It is a laboratory for the 2028 LA Olympics. By cutting the mid-career veterans and specialists, Lawson has created a roster where the average age has plummeted, but the basketball IQ and shooting range have skyrocketed. The Mama D legacy and the veteran rift. While the team moves forward, the bombshell cuts of veterans like Dearica Hamby continue to cause ripples in the WNBA community. Hamby, who just weeks ago was setting records in the unrivaled league and embracing her role as Mama D for the younger players, was seen as a lock for her leadership alone. Stephen A. Smith and other analysts have pointed out that by cutting Hamby and Atkins, Lawson has stripped away the connective tissue of the locker room. In the high-pressure environment of a World Cup in Berlin, veteran cool-headedness is often the difference between a blowout and a nail-biter. Rumors suggest that some of the remaining veterans were unsettled by the lack of loyalty shown to players who had sacrificed their off-seasons for the program for years. Kara Lawson's response to these concerns was clinical. We aren't here to reward loyalty with roster spots. We are here to defend a gold medal. If the game is moving toward a pace that certain players can no longer maintain, my job is to find the ones who can. The Angel Reese fallout, a lesson in FIBA ball. The cut of Angel Reese remains the most discussed move on social media. Despite her historic rebounding numbers and her status as a cultural icon, the FIBA factor was her undoing. International basketball is a different beast. The lane is wider, the physical play is officiated differently, and the lack of a defensive 3 seconds rule means post players are met with a wall of defenders. Inside the camp, the coaching staff reportedly felt that Angel's game was too predictable for the elite European and Asian defenses. Against teams like China or France, who feature 6 feet 9 inches and 6 feet 10 inches centers, a 6 feet 3 inches undersized forward who can't shoot from the perimeter becomes a liability. Lawson is betting that Cameron Brink's shot blocking and Aaliyah Boston's passing out of the post offer more utility in the FIBA system than Angel's second chance scoring. This wasn't a disrespect to Angel's talent. It was a tactical decision for a specific tournament. The Clark-Watkins era begins. If there was any doubt about who the alpha of this new era is, the first practices in San Juan put them to rest. Caitlin Clark has been handed the keys to the offense. Lawson's system, a positionless blur offense, is designed to let Clark dictate the tempo from the moment she crosses half court. But the real story of the qualifiers is the emergence of Juju Watkins. At just 20 years old, Juju has reportedly been the most explosive player in camp. By cutting the defensive specialists like Ariel Atkins, Lawson has cleared a path for Juju to become the instant offense wing that Team USA has been missing since the retirement of the legends. Pairing Watkins' athleticism with Clark's vision and Buchers' surgical precision has created a big three of the future that is already scaring the rest of the world. The Berlin Mission, September 2026. The 2026 FIBA World Cup in Berlin is the ultimate proof of concept for Kara Lawson. If this young, Ferrari-style roster wins the gold by 20-plus points per game, Lawson will be hailed as a visionary who saved the program from stagnation. If they struggle, if they miss the veteran rebounding of Angel Reese or the lockdown perimeter defense of Ariel Atkins, the calls for a return to the old guard will be deafening. The pressure is also on Sue Bird. As the managing director, she is the one who ultimately signed off on the purge. Bird knows better than anyone that chemistry is a fragile thing. She won 5 gold medals by playing alongside the same core for 2 decades. By breaking that core early, she is taking a gamble that the talent gap between the US and the world is so large that chemistry can be built on the fly. The 2028 horizon. Every move made in January 2026 is a chess piece being moved for the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. The bombshell cuts weren't just about Berlin. They were about ensuring that by the time the Olympics hit US soil, players like Caitlin Clark, Paige Buchers, and Juju Watkins have 3 years of senior national team experience under their belts. Coach Lawson is building a team that can stay together for the next decade. She is looking for the new dynasty. The 4 players cut this week were the casualties of a long-term war. It's a ruthless business, and in the world of USA basketball, the only thing that matters is the color of the medal around your neck. Closing the case, the final word. The 2026 roster is set, the drama is peaking, and the new era has officially arrived. Whether you love the youth movement or fear the loss of veteran leadership, one thing is certain. USA basketball is no longer a country club. It is a high-performance machine where "what have you done for me lately?" is the only question that matters. The Berlin blueprint is in motion. 4 stars are home, 12 stars are heading to the world stage, and the entire world is waiting to see if Kara Lawson's gamble pays off in gold. Final closing for the video. And there you have it, the full breakdown of the most ruthless roster purge in the history of the US women's national team. Kara Lawson has made her choice, and the next-gen takeover is officially here. But I want to hear from you. Did Coach Lawson make a mistake by cutting veterans like Angel Reese and De'Erica Hamby? Is this team too young to handle the pressure in Berlin? Or is the Clark-Buchers-Watkins trio simply too much for the world to handle? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you think the old guard deserved more respect, let me know. If you're ready for the Ferrari offense to take over, drop a hashtag Team USA in the chat. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because we are following every second of the World Cup qualifiers and the road to Berlin. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at tip-off. The hammer has officially dropped, and the fallout is rocking the foundations of American basketball. In a move that has sent shockwaves from the WNBA front offices to the heart of Team USA training camp at Duke, head coach Kara Lawson has reportedly finalized the first wave of cuts for the 2026 World Cup roster, and 4 of the biggest names in the sport are officially out. For decades, the USA women's national team has operated on a legacy system. If you had a gold medal, your locker was essentially reserved. But 2026 is a different beast. With the Caitlin Clark effect, rewriting the rules of the game, and a new generation of high-speed snipers taking over, the old guard is under fire. Coach Lawson, who was handpicked to lead this program through the 2028 LA Olympics, is making it crystal clear. Past glory does not guarantee a future jersey. We're talking about veteran champions, players with multiple gold medals and Hall of Fame resumes, who were just told their services are no longer required for the mission in Berlin. The question everyone is screaming: who didn't make the cut? Is this the moment the league finally moves on from the legends to make room for the Ferrari offense of Clark and Paige Buchers? Or has Team USA just made a catastrophic mistake by stripping away the veteran leadership that has kept them undefeated for nearly 30 years? Reports from behind the closed doors of the Philip H. Knight campus suggest the atmosphere was icy as the final 12 began to take shape. Today, we are breaking down the 4 bombshell cuts that no one saw coming, the leaked reactions from the stars sent home, and why Kara Lawson's new era might be the boldest gamble in the history of the program. The dynasty is changing, and some of your favorite stars just got left behind. Let's get into it.